I don't know what he did, and he said something 20 years ago and apologized for it. If you're going to attack me, you better go after the colored athletes and the people that are black and minority.
Huh? Alrighty, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. The CEO of Gym Positivity has been canceled and he's been taken away from the internet. Not really, but we're going to talk about that. So today we're going to be talking about the Joey Swoll situation, which has been absolutely blowing up all over social media the past couple days, and it's just progressively gotten crazier and crazier as the days have gone on. So if you're not familiar with who the heck I'm talking about, this is who we are talking about today. This is Joey Swoll. I'm sure most of you kind of know who this is, and he is what he says himself, the CEO of Gym Positivity. So his whole kind of, his whole brand is about kind of, at this point, for the most part, it's become kind of calling people out when they are maybe doing something that they shouldn't be doing at the gym, whether that's filming people that don't want to be filmed, filming in the locker room and people don't want to be filmed in there. And when you look at that in a vacuum, I think I definitely agree with that. I get very frustrated when people, take a bunch of time, film in the gym, film people in the background of their videos. They don't ask if they are okay with those people being in the back of their videos, and maybe they'll even call people out and film them without their consent. All of that stuff, like calling that stuff out, I don't have a problem with. But depending on who you talk to, Joey has maybe gone a little bit too far. And one thing, especially recently, because if you look at his Instagram, he has 5.4 million followers, but his TikTok has even more followers. He has really gotten to a point where what some people will feel, he will call people out that are very, very, very small influencers, or maybe not even influencers, right? These are people that have maybe 1,000 followers that'll post something that maybe is a little bit like, that's not super cool. But then he will blast this thing out to millions and millions of people. And then that in and of itself, I don't think is a bad thing. The problem is that it has really kind of built up this community of people that will go to any person's page that has been called out by Joey Swoll, and they will leave the most hateful, disgusting comments, or, death threats, just the most vile stuff that you can think. These people will go to their page and do that all the time. And this is not a secret, right? People that have watched Joey Swoll, people that have seen the people that Joey Swoll has talked about, this has been talked about time and time again. And is Joey Swoll responsible for his followers and what they are doing? I don't know 100%, but I do absolutely think that this is something that should have been addressed sooner. But we're at a point now where maybe it never will be addressed because Joey Swoll, what has happened recently, he has decided that he is going to be leaving the internet forever. So let's talk about what has happened recently. So the most recent thing that has happened is that Joey Swoll posted this little video that he took a few years ago, I think, when Hulk Hogan passed away, right? And said, "Rip to a legend," one of the inspirations to start working out. Now, people were a little bit upset by this post. I think it was, there was a good amount of support. There was also a good amount of people being upset. If you don't know, Hulk Hogan was, he said a lot of very racist things in his past and not so long ago past. But he was a not very closeted racist, someone that said really terrible things about his daughter's choice and who she wanted to be with for the rest of her life. I think they have children together. He said some terrible things about the children. And he was just, there were so many different instances of him saying terrible things about people of color, black people, and just really, really messed up stuff, right? This has not been a secret. It was in the news, especially 10 years ago. He went on a huge, crazy rant about all of this stuff. So it was a very well-known thing. This was not something that no one knew about, right? And so when this post went live, there were a lot of people that were a little confused as to why Joey, the CEO of Gym Positivity, the CEO of Positivity, would be posting someone that they, a lot of people feel was not a very positive person and was actually a very hateful person, right? And so when that started happening, Joey was actually live on TikTok, which is what we see here, and he decided to respond to some of the people that were kind of giving him flack about this. Now, this is where I think things really, really, really took a turn for the worst. Because I think the Hulk Hogan stuff, while you can say, hey, you know what, like I didn't realize to the effect of where things were, doing what he does here, I think really is just, people are going to be very upset. And maybe you will understand when you watch this video.
I can post Hulk Hogan if I want to. Just because somebody makes a mistake in their life doesn't mean that they haven't done good things. I don't know what he did, and he said something 20 years ago and apologized for it. If you're going to attack me, you better go after the colored athletes and the people that are black and minority that...
So that right there, right? So calling black athletes, right, colored athletes. A lot of people were obviously very upset by that. And obviously I'm a white dude, right? And so, but I know as a 32-year-old guy, right? I think Joey's like 45, that's just not a term that you use to describe people of color, right? That's not a term. That was a term that was used in like the Jim Crow South. That was very popular when there was segregation, where it was like, this is where the colored people go to drink water, and this is where the white people go, right? It was a term that was used derogatorily. I don't know if that's a word, but it was a term that was used in a very negative way. And so the fact that he said it had a lot of people upset. Now, obviously, there are people on the other side that are saying, well, maybe he didn't really know that, this word was had a negative light, and this was a bad word to use, and he maybe he made a mistake. I think that that's fine, right? Like, I think that he can feel that way, but at the end of the day, like, the damage has been done, right? He has millions and millions of followers, and I think it almost gets to a point where it's like, not knowing that is there almost really is no excuse. But again, it gets even worse in my opinion, because Joey almost immediately decided to make an apology, which you would think is like, oh, that's a good thing. But again, the way that he apologized, a lot of people were feeling like it wasn't really that genuine. And I think that those thoughts are more or less kind of, I feel that way too, because of the way that he responded after this apology went out. So let's check out the apology that Joey made after all of this.
I owe my followers, my community, and all of social media an apology. A few days ago, I reposted an old video of me in the gym wearing a Hulk Hogan Halloween costume on the day that he passed. Last night in my live stream, a lot of people expressed how upset and frustrated they were with me that I had posted that. Instead of listening and understanding like I should have, I became defensive and said that I was posting to celebrate the wrestling icon, the person that so many of us looked up to as kids that we grew up with, that made us tear our shirts and take our vitamins and say our prayers.
So again, that in and of itself is not like a bad thing. I can understand feeling that way, right? I can understand feeling that way. But again, this feels like instead of an apology, it's just, here I'm going to give excuses as to why I don't feel like what I did was actually wrong, but I'm still going to apologize because so many people are upset with me, right? That's the way that it really kind of comes across here.
I didn't know to the extent of all the horrible things that he had done. Since last night, I have done a lot of research, talked to a few people, and learned all of the horrible, horrible things that man has done, which is way more than just making a mistake and being human. So because of that, I have taken the videos down, and I apologize to anybody that I offended. I am sorry. Also, during last night's live...
So that, in and of itself, again, I don't think that there was that many people that were upset about that. I think it got much, 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 much worse when he used the word colored, right, to describe people, right? That's what, from what I've seen on social media, that's what more people are upset about. And so I think that, yes, the Hulk Hogan stuff, I think people were upset about it, but I almost can guarantee that it would have been water under the bridge eventually, right? People would have forgot about it. But he kind of dug his own grave when he went further in that live stream.
I used the word colored instead of saying person of color, which is a very outdated, very offensive term. A few moments later, somebody educated me and told me that it wasn't okay to use that, which I immediately apologized to everyone and said I would never do that again. So once again, to anybody that I offended, I am sorry. You know, my whole page, my whole brand is based on holding people accountable and doing better.
Yes. And that's important, okay? That is so important. His whole page and his whole brand is about what people are doing to him now. At least that's the way that I see it, right? And so when you set up your whole brand about being the positive gym guy and holding people accountable to the minor, in my opinion, the minor mistakes they make, when you make a mistake of this magnitude 2 times in a row, right? And people start holding you accountable, you have to take that on the chin, basically, is the way that I see it. You have to accept that this is the culture that you have built in your following. The people that follow you want to hold people accountable. And so all of his followers are people that are wanting to hold people accountable. And so when they see the guy that is holding all of these other people accountable make these massive, I don't even, you can maybe call them mistakes, but these just terrible decisions, right? You are going to be held accountable. And that is what is happening now. And it really feels like he is upset that this response and this apology is not being accepted, and people aren't just being like, oh, well, he apologized, so let's move on, right? Because there are plenty of people that he has called out himself that have apologized, that so many of his followers were like, well, you're just mad that you got caught. You're just upset that people saw what you did, right? And so, you know, it is what it is at this point, right?
I would be a hypocrite if I didn't hold myself to the same standards. I am human, I am still growing, I am still learning, and I promise all of you, I will do better. I have nothing but love and kindness in my heart. I will continue to try to make the world a better place. And once again, to everybody, I apologize.
So that was his apology video. And since that video came out, there have been thousands probably of videos of people, creators on TikTok, creators on different social media platforms calling Joey out, right? And people are still very upset with, even though he apologized, people are like, hey, this is still not okay. I'm still not okay with everything that has happened here. And he has issued a statement since then. So let's check that statement out. So this was posted on his Instagram story last night as of me recording this, right? So he goes on to say, all the good I've done, all the people I've helped, all for nothing. When I need help, when I need kindness and compassion, nothing. I truly hope all the people I've inspired do great things in their life and pay it forward to help others and carry on my message. But no matter how much good you do, no matter how many people you help, they just wait for a reason to hate you and tear you down. It's true. You either die a hero or live long enough to be the villain. Thank you all for your support. I love you all. I am done with social media. So he basically, in my opinion, goes full on like, it's not fair what's happening to me. This is unfair. I am being treated unfairly, right? But again, this is someone whose entire brand was built on calling people out, and so many of these people, after he would call them out, would have to basically delete their entire social media and be off of the internet because of all of the people that were going to their social media and leaving terrible comments. Again, am I defending everyone that Joey Swoll has called out? No. I'm sure there are plenty of people that Joey Swoll has called out that did stuff that was unacceptable and disgusting, right? But from what I have seen, there are also plenty of people, I don't know the percentage, right? But plenty of people that maybe made a silly mistake in the gym. They recorded someone when they didn't want to be recorded or whatever. And then they had that amplified to millions and millions and millions of people, right? That happened so many times. I saw it so many times. And so what it seems like is happening here is basically Joey is being held to the same standards and being held with accountability the same way that so many of these people that Joey Swoll himself have called out and basically pushed off of social media. And he himself is feeling that wrath basically from this fan base of his, and he has decided to get off social media himself, right? And I think it's very interesting when you look at the juxtaposition between the comments on his TikTok and the comments on his Instagram, because the comments on TikTok are a lot of people saying, hey, I don't think that what you did is right. This is really wrong, whatever, right? But if you look at the comments on his Instagram, of his video where he is apologizing and saying that he deleted the video and he's sorry for the mistakes that he made. Almost all of the comments on that post are people saying, "I can't believe you deleted the video. You're being a coward. You're bowing down to cancel culture." It's all people that are upset with him that he, bowed down to cancel culture. And I feel like basically what he tried to do was appease both sides. And with doing that, he has made basically nobody happy. And now everyone is like, I don't agree with what Joey Swoll did. I've always felt that it's very interesting seeing Joey Swoll and the level of popularity that he gained, because I remember when I first started posting on social media, he was very big in this company called Shreds. And if you don't remember, Shreds ended up getting basically taken off of the internet. I think they're still around, but for the most part, everyone that was involved with them back then are no longer involved with them, and they have separated themselves a ton from them because so many of the athletes were shown to be photoshopping their images, right? Making false claims about what the supplements could do, because it was a supplement company. And on top of this, and this is the most important thing that I really frustrated me, was they all were coaches, and it was very clear that what was happening was they were getting hundreds, thousands of clients, and they weren't actually coaching these people one-on-one, which is what they claimed they were doing, right? They were not coaching people. They were getting cookie cutter programs. So they would email, they probably wouldn't even do it. They would have probably someone else on their team do it, email them a program. But the whole thing, and again, that in and of itself is not a bad thing. But when you are claiming and pricing your coaching based off of these people feeling like they are talking to Joey Swoll or the other people that are connected to the Shreds thing, that's where it's wrong. So this was a huge controversy, and he was in the forefront of it, and he kind of just quietly went away and then came back a few years later and was this, CEO of Gym Positivity guy. And so it's very interesting kind of seeing how he went from that to where he is now. Now, honestly, the way that I see it, I think that Joey has millions of fans still, right? I think that when we're talking about like cancel culture, I think that if he wanted to come back, he probably could, right? Will he ever have the same level of, just blind support that he did before? Probably not, but I think he could still absolutely come back. But it's just so interesting that he is complaining about the whole cancel culture when so much of his content in the past has been basically about canceling people, and whether or not it was a fair cancellation because this person filmed someone in the gym when they didn't want to be filmed, that's another conversation. But so much of his content was about calling someone out and then reveling, because he would make videos about, oh, looks like they deleted their social media. They're not on social media anymore, right? He would revel in the fact that he got someone to delete their social media. And so I think that this whole situation is very interesting. I think that, in my opinion, Joey is overreacting with being like, I'm off social media forever. I think that, if he really was sorry about what he did and the mistakes that he made, I think listening to what people are saying and like genuinely trying to improve would be a better case of like, okay, I'm actually learning, instead of just being like, I'm mad, I'm getting off social media, I'm done, right? Because I think that Joey has probably made millions of dollars, so I don't think he has to stay on social media if he doesn't want to. But I feel like if he truly was sorry about what he did, he would stay on social media and show the change that was being made, right? And like, yes, there are going to be people that no matter what he does, they will never accept that he has changed, or, that he doesn't agree with what he did in the past. But I'm sure there would be some people that would see that there was a genuine change that was trying to be made, right? But that's just my thoughts on this whole situation. I would love to know what y'all think down in the comments section down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Peace.